A publication by the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, recognizes trade as a vital catalyst for national growth and overall development. Trade stimulates a country's consumption capacity and provides access to local, regional, and global market for products. However, for a country to take full advantage of market opportunities, she needs to have certain structures and institutions collectively referred to as quality infrastructure. This includes facilities that are responsible for standards, quality accreditation, metrology, and conformity assessment. For now, Nigeria lacks an internationally recognized quality infrastructure with the capacity to ensure safety, integrity, and marketability of goods and services. Quality infrastructure also ensures the removal of technical barriers to local, regional, and international trade. It is against this background that the National Quality Infrastructure Project for Nigeria, Nqip, is focusing on providing technical assistance to ensure that products made in Nigeria are adequately tested according to international standards and conformity assessment requirements. Now, where are we as a country in meeting international quality infrastructure requirements? As we look beyond oil, what are the challenges we face as we attempt to build a bridge of economic stability? This is our focus on bridges. Welcome, I'm Mujima Kojola, and here to discuss with me today I have on my immediate right, Obiora Manafa. He's a metrologist and is an expert, and he's with the Standards Organization of Nigeria. You're welcome on Bridges.
Thank you very much.
And from far over Vienna, we have a brother here with us, Dr. Raymond Tavers, who's the project manager, Nqip. You're welcome on Bridges. And from the private sector, very important, and we have a value chain expert, Dr. John Isemide. You're also welcome on Bridges. And articulate Nigerians and friends of Nigerians are here with me in the studio, and they're also ready to share their experiences as we look beyond oil. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're all welcome on Bridges. All right, so let's kick it off. Let's understand. I have given a background, but let's understand it from the experts. Nqip, how does that drive us to the dreamland of economic stability in Nigeria? Any of you can start. Any of you can start.
Quality infrastructure, as you rightly said, is very, very important. But I would like to take another word which is very important. So this is the trade you are talking about. But I add another T, which is trust. We are all talking about trust for trade, and good trade and effective trade of Nigerian products. But we cannot do it without a strong and robust quality infrastructure. This is what we are trying to do here with Nigerian institutions and the Nigerian government. As far as UNIDO is concerned, we will be always close to Nigeria to strengthen and modernize the quality infrastructure.
And there's hope for that. There's hope that would achieve quality, right? Okay. Now, that's for you, Standard Organization of Nigeria. Where do we go from here? And how are you queuing in into this new concept that will ensure that our produce?
The Nqip has assisted us a lot. He has given us the technical assistance we need in Nigeria, and SON in particular, in developing our quality infrastructure. Because we are talking about trade. We are talking about diversification of the economy. The president is removing emphasis on oil, because of the dwindling prices of oil. So we want to go into other areas, like manufacturing, we want to go into agriculture, and so on and so forth. Now, the only way we can achieve that is when we develop our infrastructure, quality infrastructure. When we talk about quality infrastructure, we talk about the components, the standards, the metrology, accreditation, and conformity assessment. These are the things we need, we must develop. To be able to export our products, there's something we call one test accepted everywhere. It means that if we export anything from Nigeria, nobody will start testing that product. If you are exporting to UK, if you are exporting to America, and we have tested it in our lab in Nigeria, because our lab has been accredited. So far, the lab is accredited. it will not be tested again in the US. It will not be tested again in Europe. So this is what we want to achieve, competitiveness
you won't have
in trade.
Competitiveness, yes. And
Yes.
you won't have the cases of rejection and all that.
We won't have the cases of rejection.
How are you
yes.
going to streamline that along line every produce that comes out of this country? Because that's where we are looking.
Yes, yes. That is why we need to develop these components. Standards, we need to have standards for all these products. Standards that are acceptable all over the world. We have international standards. We look at these standards. The ones we don't have as a national standard in Nigeria, we can adopt if it is okay for us. Now, we have the standards, then we have the conformity assessment infrastructure. The labs where you test these products that are going out, because it's very, very essential. When you're exporting a product, the product must accompany, the certificate of test must accompany the product, because that is the only way the recipient of that product will say, the product you are giving me is good. But when the certificate comes from a lab that is not accredited, there will be doubts about the quality.
So we can't build trust.
So, yeah, you can build trust.
Okay, let me just quickly go to those who would actually be functional in terms of exports and the private sector, because when you look at it, you're a regulator. Yeah. So let's have you on, sir. How would this cascade in terms of bringing, marketers, to be on the same table, to understand where we're going? The farmer, for example, that is out there at the rural area, how can we stimulate and catalyze growth within the concept of these world standards?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, let me thank UNIDO and the managers of Nqip. They have come to the rescue. And the beneficiary of all what we are saying, or the structure we are trying to put on ground, the private sector will be the beneficiary. There is nowhere in the world where you are an island, and there must be structure on ground, there must be leakages, and the value from the farmer to the ultimate consumer must be developed. Nigeria is not new to what we are saying, but we have made a terrible mistake with the abrogation of the commodity boards. Now it has become a free-for-all, that Nigerian products are being rejected worldwide. We have realized this. When you now talk of the organized private sector, you are talking of the industry. In the past, the manufacturing sector was contributing over 10% to the GDP. Today, there's nothing to write about. Agriculture, we were #1 producer of palm oil. But today, we cannot even meet our 50% requirement locally. There's a lot of smuggling across borders because of lack of infrastructure. And then if we now talk of export business, some people claim that the borders are porous. We don't believe, because it's not a gold mine. It's just that some people are not doing their work. The reason why people are now carrying share borders across border, or bringing in things through the ports or through land border, is that most of these laboratories and all that as earlier mentioned by Standard Organization of Nigeria, not known by Nigerian exporters. Our greatest problem is poor documentation. That is what has put us here. And those of us in the value chain, we are not shifting the goalposts. We are not blaming people. What we are saying is that let us put our heads together. We have on our hands now the rejection by the European Union, and they have given us up to June next year. We have realized it's just like a student who has a receipt. You have to prepare and clear that problem. Talking will not solve the problem. What we have decided to do is to develop the value chain right from the farmers and build structures and build leakages and tell them what to do. A very good example was the workshop we had in Kaduna 2 weeks ago. A lot of farmers came and they told us the type of chemicals and all that being applied. The transporters, as long as we don't have dedicated transporters in the country, there's high level of contamination. And you go to the local vendors in the market, some of them will claim that they use starch to retain the color of melon beans and all that. Then you go to the port, no records of export of agricultural produce out of this country. You go to the airport, it's done in a haphazard manner. That one person is traveling, 5 others who carry Ghana must go back. with produce inside. It goes there at, no, you export this thing as personal effects or in small quantity. It gets to Europe, 10 people will meet one seller. At the end of the day, there's large quantity. What we are doing to benefit from what NQI has put in place is to build leakages from the farmer to the processor, from the processor to the ultimate consumer. You can trace back with proper documentation. But part of the problem...
I'd like to take that from you. We can trace back
yes.
where the product is coming, so we know what faults are there and how we can quickly ensure that these things are put on global standard. And that's what we need, and that's what the panelists are saying. Well, we'll take a short break now. When we get back, we'll come to the audience that are eager to join in this conversation. It's not a hopeless situation. It is, in fact, one that we should all be part of, looking beyond oil. You're watching Bridges. We're back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching Bridges, and we're looking at Nqip Beyond Oil, meeting global standards and trust in trade. And this is where we're going. So let's go to the audience. Now, the panelists have said, you know, the conversation, we need to improve on quality so that Nigeria can can be able to export. Not just in terms of exporting. Now, I've been told that even the consumers themselves, they need also to be part of this new quality infrastructure that must be put in place for us to look beyond oil. So let's have your take from the audience. Let's know you.
Thank you very much. My name is Femi Boyede. I'm a certified international trade professional. And I think for about 27, going to 30 years now, I have been in the vanguard of campaigning for Nigeria Beyond Oil. Thanks for capturing it in the title of today's program. John, the private sector member of the panel, put it aptly. He's talked about the quality issues, especially from the private sector point of view. The truth is, Nigeria seems to pay a lot of lip service, seems to politicize everything. Unless our products meet international quality standards, they're going to continue being rejected. I was opportune to do a quality check of Nigeria's cocoa abroad. And I went into a warehouse in Amsterdam where we actually found steel, 3 kg, 5 kg steel, in the middle of bags of Nigeria's cocoa, because cocoa is sold by weight. And therefore, as far back as that time, Nigeria has required a quality infrastructure. Now, for me, quality goes beyond the physical. Infrastructure goes beyond the physical. It also goes into the psyche of the average Nigerian. What it is that you are going to put in your mouth, do you want to offer it to another person? If it was given to you, would you consume it? Once we're able to integrate, I don't know what Nqip has as its components, but we need to integrate national reorientation in terms of standards. Just like John also said, we have to be subjected to all forms of quality checks. So if Standards of Organization of Nigeria, I thought you guys were only for the manufacturing sector. I thought Nqip should also include NAFDAC.
NAFDAC is part of it.
Fine. So if working together, we could have a global standardized, acceptable, supermarket-ready production from Nigeria. Thanks for quality infrastructure. But the truth is that we need more than talk. We need more than orientation. We actually need practical measures to take people from the zero knowledge about export to the actual export market. At the Economic Summit yesterday, in my intervention, I made it quite clear that it is time for us to go beyond paying lip service to diversification.
Thank you very much. Can we have the next speaker, please? Yes, I know you're eager to come on. Let's hear.
Yes, I thank you for giving me the floor. My name is Nqip Ibrahim. I'm the National President of Nigerian Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, NASME. Now, the Nqip project is really a laudable project. Why I say it's laudable, because my next door neighbor here did mention why it has been that most of our goods are being rejected. Standard is a key. And if you look at it, some of the African countries, say Kenya, for example, they have the standard. In Nigeria, we are lacking this standard. And the standard is a key not only for export. Even we, the consumers here, need to know the standard. We need to go and find out what kind of food are we buying? What is the content of that food? So unless we have that standard, we just continue to go around. Now, I would also like to use the opportunity because I'm the beneficiary of this program. Why I say this is because small and medium enterprises is a key to Nigerian economic development. And I think unless the government give much emphasis on the small and medium enterprises, because they produce most of the commodities we are talking about. So we must find a way to encourage them. When this project started, I talked to Ramos. I said, look, what is there for us, for the SMEs? I also talked to SAN, because the issue of accreditation is a very expensive thing. But I'm happy to report here that I was told by both Standard Organization and UNIDO that when the program takes off, they are likely to subsidize it for the SMEs, because that's the only way the SME can afford to acquire the standard for their commodities.
But it is, yeah, it's a necessary ingredient. Yes, Charles, you're on.
Thank you very much. My name is Charles Malata. I'm the Chief Technical Advisor on this National Quality Infrastructure Project. And perhaps I would want to just shed a little bit more light on what the project is all about and our final destination, so to speak. It is all about non-oil sector. But at the bottom of it all is, like my two previous speakers have said, it's about the mindset of the consumers. Consumers here at home or consumers abroad. At the end of the day, the quality infrastructure is meant to be like an independent arbitration process, so that if one puts a product on the market, it can attest for whatever statement that will be said about that product on behalf of the consumers. Because the consumers on their own, they cannot be bringing samples, each one of them, on a daily basis for it to be tested to confirm whether it meets the standards or not. So the infrastructure we are trying to put in place is meant to provide that bridge, is meant to provide that trust to the consumers. Now, how is the project positioned? First of all, we looked at whether there are sufficient policies and legislation that would support that kind of trust to be imparted to the consumers. So we have reformatted the policy on how we can achieve quality. We have looked at what are the missing links, what are the missing services that would be required on behalf of the consumers to be in place, so that if those services are utilized, the consumer can rest assured that the consumption that they are partaking, the products that they are trading in, are all meeting the necessary requirements.
So building trust across the board.
Building trust across the board. That is what we are aiming to do.
Now let's hear from Monica. And how does this truly and truly does it serve as a catalyst for development?
My name is Monika Kubiec-Dobosz. I'm the project assistant of the National Quality Infrastructure Project based at UNIDO headquarters in Vienna. It is my first time in Nigeria. It is my first time in Africa. I didn't really know what to expect coming here. But when I arrived, I was impressed. I am still impressed by the passion and commitment of the Nigerians, especially of people involved in the project. And I am now really very inspired to give even more, to further provide the assistance to Nigerians in achieving the goal, the objective of the project, which is improvement of the quality of the products and services in Nigeria.
And it's achievable, right?
I hope so, and we will do everything to help to achieve the objective.
Okay,
Thank
I'll
you very
move the
much.
microphone here because we're looking at the Nigerian youths and the passion for them to build a stable economy where we can have quality life. So let's hear from you.
Okay, my name is Simeon Mukoro. I'm a technical expert in quality infrastructure. Quite recently, after the elections that was just concluded, the presidential election, we discovered how much effort the youth had put into that process to bring about the transparency that we experienced and brought about the fairness of the electoral process itself. Now, my question is, where do we see the youth playing a role in the entire process of quality infrastructure, as abstract as it sounds? Quite recently at the National Economic Summit, His Excellency the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, came up with facts about federal government's collaboration with 7 states and talked about rice processing, production as the focus. Quality infrastructure in its sense, as it is being spoken about, how do we fuse, or what role does quality infrastructure has to play with what the Vice President talked about in terms of rice production? In fact, he mentioned Kebbi State as a focus, as the primary focus for that. And what role do we see youth play in terms of the type of innovation they brought to the electoral process that we just experienced? Thank you.
Okay. Any of you would like to take that up? Yeah, he just raised an issue, the role of youths, yes, in ensuring, Who wants to speak to that? Okay.
I would like to say something. Thank you very much. I think you raised a very, very important question, the youth. But what we are doing is just trying to create a culture of quality in this country. And so that's why my chief technical advisor was mentioning here the consumers first, but we consider the youth are part of consumers. And so our quality promotion component is really trying to strengthen the Consumers Association and the CPC, Consumer Protection Council, but to go beyond, to target schools, students, let's say universities, where you can have the real involvement of young people. They start thinking about quality and they start demanding quality. I think this is where we can really assist the future generation to talk about quality, to understand quality really, and to change the mentality of the way we are doing business normally in many, not Nigeria, many developing countries. And this is very important because the private sector sometimes claim the cost of certification. I'm glad also to hear that from the private sector, they felt themselves that the quality infrastructure project will assist them to lower down or to cut the cost of certification. Because for us, building the infrastructure means also going towards the real problem of the private sector. Your program is making the bridge, like you are saying, you are proposing this kind of bridge. We, as quality infrastructure, we are trying, like my CTA said, to make the bridge between the private sector and the institutions. And let me also be fair with the institutions. In Nigeria, when we start the project, we have institutions doing something. The Standards Organization of Nigeria is doing a great job. We have regulators, many of them, each of them doing something important. The intent of our program, the quality infrastructure, is also to raise the bridge among the various institutions working to consolidate the quality infrastructure in Nigeria.
Yes, let's just have a final word.
Okay,
Yes.
Concerning the roles of the youths, if you go to Nigerian universities, you cannot see any departments of metrology, cannot see any department of quality. So what we are trying to do in SON is to introduce these courses in our universities, especially metrology, measurement. There's no university that offers a course in metrology. So that is one thing we want to do, so that we start from the basics, and introduce all these things to the students. So from there, they will now have that knowledge about quality infrastructure. So that is what we are doing.
Finally, sir?
Yeah, thank you very much. When you are talking of the youth, If you look at the chain, we have a lot of students, and when you say the youth, that is had a greater percentage. And looking at it from the private sector angle, we have the industry, we have the mines, we have agriculture. Let's take agriculture, which provides food for us, raw material for the industry, and the processed one for export. We have over 150 universities in Nigeria, and we have, in the 150 universities, we have about 100 faculties of agriculture. We have research centers, we have support from UNIDO, DFID, and all that. And so also we have polytechnics and colleges of education. We have not been able to work together along the value chain, bringing them on board as stakeholders. That is why we are still using billions of naira to import food into this country. So we cannot do that. We need to do that, to integrate them. That is why the developing the value chain is a bottom-top approach, that there is no segment of that chain that has to be broken. Because we have to work from one step to the other. That is what we call linkages. And when we identify the problem, what we do is to analyze and come out with mapping of the constraints before solution. It's not just coming out that I am doing my work, the other agent is not doing. We have to take it, because this project is for the private sector, and we thank UNIDO for coming to our aid.
Well, I'm afraid that the constraint that we always have on Bridge is time. Our time is up, but we have set the tone for conversation about ensuring quality in Nigeria if truly we're serious about looking beyond oil. Well, this conversation will continue at some point on Bridges, and would like you to, continue the conversation on Facebook, on our Twitter handle, and we'll continue to speak to it, because now oil is really not the answer. Beyond oil is where we should be looking. Thanks for watching. Bridges will be back same time next week, and with more issues that will interest all of us.